One function I wish would get transferred from current technology to future is the concept of director. Someone directing the 3D experience, particularly virtually, because it, like you mentioned the rotating brain, but the rotating brain would be better if you could stop it and look longer at this and then rotate to
that comes part and parcel.
Yeah, but so in that case, you're directing it yourself. But when we think about exploring a 3D object, to bring more storytelling or a director's vision on what the exploration would look like would be very helpful in an educational format. I'm thinking of Alex, and I can't think of his last name, in this School of Dentistry, who studies pain. And he takes students on a trip from what they might see clinically to where the facial nerve lands in the skin, and then he travels through on that pathway, which is very complex geometry with a virtual representation of anatomy, to get to the brain and the mechanisms for migraine. And so it's a story of going from what they can see to what they can't see, and so the mechanism gets explained along the way. So it's in that sense that I'm wishing there were more directors when images become 3D and dynamic, to provide some guidance to help make meaning.
Of course, I think that that's certainly once one creates the forms themselves, once one has access to the models, to those things that can be manipulated in real time and experienced in real time at different viewpoints, different angles, different closeness. There's nothing to stop authoring from becoming a component of that. Somebody can then take that and take you on a guided tour. I always used to bring up, when we were first exploring things like interactive fiction, there's the notion of one creating an authored work like a movie, let's say, where it takes you all the way through beginning to end, that's linear, but somebody can also author a garden that you then choose to experience in different paths, at different order, in a nonlinear way, but the garden is no less a complete and coherent, curated experience of the gardener. And I think maybe this is, in part, you may have that, where for instance, you might be sequentially delivering one portion of the body after another, and saying certain important things about it as the user is exploring at their leisure and choosing their own views, but the voice, for instance, might be saying, notice at the base of this midbrain structure, this thing, and you kinetically, spontaneously rotate to look at it underneath. They don't have to do the rotation for you. It may, in fact, be a richer experience if you're the one choosing to do that as they speak, than if they rotate it for you and you just sit back on your couch and eat your Cheetos, you know? Lean forward, lean back.
Yeah. But it's interesting because what came to my mind is that even though you said that vocabulary will oppress you, in the end, we need a book like Understanding 3D, you know? Like Understanding Comics. So to figure this, we need theory, applicable theory. Or some, yeah.
Although I don't, it's funny, I don't actually name all that many things. I have a few terms in Understanding Comics. I should say, I should defend terminology. I don't want us to abandon giving things names. Names are useful. Names put things in suitcases so we can take them to other subjects. Names are very, very useful. It's just that sometimes the experiencing something, I feel like we should wait. Just cherish the moment before it gets a name. Cherish the direct, unmediated sensation of just seeing or hearing or touching something, and know it for what it is before it gets cut and pinned to the page and a frame around it and a name upon it, and before all of the what do you preservative for corpses? I forgot
Formalin.
Formalin comes in. I just just know the experience itself, because that's separate. It's a separate thing from the named thing. It's different.
I agree.
And I hear what you're saying is the danger that we often get into in instruction is
Yeah, I agree.
is explaining too early, right? Or telling someone exactly what we want them to know instead of letting them figure out even this is a zoom in, zoom out thing too, I think, right? It's like, what context does this piece of information live in? So this is an old idea. A guy named Ram Spiro, who worked on this when he was at Illinois, and then I think he's now at MSU, and he is collaborating with Amory Palisar here in the Ed School around this idea called experience acceleration, which I think is really going to be applicable in the 3D and virtual world, where Rand's original work was a system called Kane. This domain was teaching people how to appreciate the movie Citizen Kane. So as a true cognitive psychologist, he picked something interested him to work on. But the method is you watch Citizen Kane. Most people who will watch Citizen Kane for the first time enjoy it at some level, but they don't understand it. And then the experience acceleration is he has designed fast cuts through the movie from all these different perspectives, all these different sub-themes. And what he was able to discover was that in the end, you can start to appreciate the way Citizen Kane is constructed, like someone who is an Orson Welles aficionado or a film critic, in a very rapid amount of time. And Amory Palisar is using this to teach teachers how to look at and understand what's going on in a classroom, because there's just so many things going on. Where do you even focus? So let's take the cut across the classroom. That's about teachers' instructional moves. Let's take the cut across the classroom. That's about things kids say. Let's make a cut across the classroom. It's about misbehaviors, right? These are all things that are happening that you can't take in all at once. But an expert can learn. What an expert really has is the ability to zoom in on different elements and contexts.